This story begins in one quiet and peaceful American suburb. 9-year-old Joshua Carter was an ordinary boy who lived in a cozy house with his parents. He was kind, inquisitive, and loved to play outside with his friends. Everything changed when one evening he found a strange doll in the woods behind the house. It was an unusual creature, not quite a person, but not quite a doll either. Its empty black eyes seemed to follow Joshua. He didn't know why, but he decided to take her with him. Perhaps it was just curiosity, or maybe some unknown call. From the moment Joshua brought the doll home, his nights became different. He began to have nightmares in which he saw dark figures whispering unintelligible things, heard claws scraping on glass, as if someone was trying to get inside the house. In these dreams, the doll would sit in the corner of his room and stare directly at him with its empty eyes. One night, after waking up from another nightmare, Joshua felt something was wrong. He looked at his hands and realized with horror that they were covered in blood. The bed and all of his clothes were drenched in it. He rushed to his parents, but they could no longer help him. Their bodies lay lifeless on the floor. Joshua didn't understand what had happened. His thoughts jumbled, and he remembered that the last thing he saw before he lost control were the doll's eyes, glittering in the darkness. Terror gripped him, but instead of running or crying, he felt something strange. Something inside him whispered to him that this was right, that he had done what he had to do. The spirit living in the doll had possessed him and was now controlling his every action. He felt like a prisoner in his own body, but the spirit that lived inside was strong and wouldn't let him fight. The next day, Joshua went to school. Everyone around him knew him as a quiet, kind boy, and no one suspected that anything was wrong. However, the spirit that now resided within him was stirring up another moment. In class during a lesson, as the teacher turned away from the blackboard, Joshua slowly stood up, walked over to his deskmate, Kelly, and without saying a word, stabbed her in the throat with a pen. It happened so fast that no one had time to stop him. Blood splattered on the desks and walls, and Kelly fell to the floor, choking on her own blood. When the guards ran into the classroom, Joshua was already calm. He sat on the floor next to Kelly's body and smiled. There was no soul in his eyes. Everyone knew this was not the Joshua they knew. A few weeks passed. Joshua was placed in a psychiatric hospital, but the spirit inside him was not going to give up so easily. Every night the boy suffered from visions in which he killed again and again. Now it was strangers, nurses, guards, other patients. He saw their bodies being torn to pieces under his hands. In the morning, however, he would wake up in his room, his hands and clothes clean, and the doctors would assure him that these were just nightmares. Soon the nightmares were no longer just dreams. One morning, the hospital discovered that one of the guards had been brutally mutilated. His eyes had been torn out, and his mouth was twisted in a gruesome smile. Joshua, despite the cameras and guards, was found next to the body, and though no one saw it happen, all suspicion immediately fell on him. He was moved to a special isolation ward, but that didn't stop the spirit. It only grew stronger. The boy could see his hands, which he no longer controlled, stretching out on their own, scraping the walls, leaving deep scratches. With each new corpse, the spirit consumed his personality more and more until there was nothing left of Joshua. The last time was particularly brutal. One night, when the hospital already had heavy security guards on duty, something happened that no one could explain. All the cameras suddenly went off, and when they were turned back on, the ward was gone. In its place was an empty, scorched room, with only a charred doll with empty eyes left in the center. Joshua Carter was gone. He was never seen again. The legend of a boy possessed by a spirit quickly spread through the town. People whispered that the spirit still roamed around, looking for a new host to continue its game. They say that if you find that very doll and bring it home, the spirit will regain its body, and the nightmare will start all over again. Are you sure no one has ever brought home strange things from the woods near your house?